So, hello, it's Paul Griffiths here again from Client Advocates. Today, I'm talking to Sarah Evans. Sarah runs a strategy consultancy called Think7. Sarah is an ex-marketing director of various consumer products businesses in the UK and in the US, including Office Depot and ACO. As I said, she now runs Think7. Think7 helps businesses get closer to their consumers and their employees. So thank you for joining me today, Sarah. The topic of conversation we wanted to cover off was how to extract maximum value from your current insight that you have within an organization. And the reason for us talking about that was that Sarah and I are both very mindful of the fact that in the current conditions, insight is really, really vital. It's so important, but there are real budget constraints on what people can do and people can spend money on. So I thought getting Sarah's insight into kind of her experience of that and how she would deal with that would be really, really helpful. So Sarah, in light of those conditions, what would you suggest a marketing director or a head of insight or a commercial director thinks about in terms of maximizing that insight budget?
Hi, yes, so I think you're right, there's so much need out there for data, but there's also a huge amount of data that exists in businesses today. Whether you go back over your bookshelves and you look through the market research studies that you've commissioned over the last 3 or 4 years, you look through the social media chats, you look through your customers call center logs, and extract all the data from there. There's such a rich source of information that exists in businesses that you really do need to question how much you need to go out there to market right now and ask those questions. You know, there's so much fertile information that exists by re-looking at that data, going back to the respondent data files and asking different questions. You will find a lot more answers in that data than you have in your market research reports.
Okay.
So just bear in mind that when you talk to a market research agency and you commission those reports, you ask them for 3 or 4 questions to answer that. They've given you those answers, but there's more data there, so make sure you use it.
Sure. And that I mean that makes perfect sense. But if you haven't done that before, or your organisation hasn't kind of gone through that process, that sounds quite that could sound quite intimidating. Can you give us an example of kind of where you've done that and what sort of how you did it and what were the outcomes?
Sure. A couple of years ago, I was working with a business. It was quite a sizable organisation with a number of different business units within it. And each business unit had its own set of data, and they had all their own market research, and because they had their own P&L and all the rest of it. There was also brand level data that existed in the business. So the first thing that we did was we collected all of the data together. We went to each market, each territory, each business unit, and we collected all the data and we put it together in one place. And then we really synthesized that data and put it all together and said, you know, what does this mean? What does that mean? Do these work together? Am I getting better insight? You know, is there a synergy by putting all these pieces of data together, and what more can I find from it? So that really gives you this huge database of insight that is knowledge. It's a pool of knowledge about your customers. And then you overlay the questions on top of it and you say, right, now I need an answer to what should I do with my product category? How can I innovate this to stay relevant? What do my customers feel about this? Is there a new market opportunity here because the customers that we've got aren't connecting with that? Maybe I should be going to a different customer set. So, you know, by asking different questions to this pool of knowledge that already exists in the business, you may find the answers are already there, but it's just having the ability to put them together and knowing where to look, and, you know, having the ability to then think of the questions that you need answers to and extracting that data from it. So there's quite a little bit of analysis needs to be done. There's quite a lot of data synthesizing that needs to be done, but it is very possible, and it's a whole lot cheaper than going out and commissioning new field studies right now.
Okay, brilliant. Sarah, I think that's really, really interesting, and I think kind of, you know, I hope people looking at this, marketing directors, commercial directors, heads of insight will take that on board and you know, potentially, I guess, contact you if they want to kind of understand more about how to do it.
Absolutely. And there's so much value in there that this particular project, we ended up with a brand refresh, new customer segmentation, and an MPD pipeline that was looking 3 or 4 years out. And that's just from data that already existed. So there's huge value if you know where to look and if you go and find the data in the information you already have. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. Look, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for the call, for talking.
Cheers. Cheers.
Bye.